What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and I've got 5 more bands that I want to share with you from this month of April. And be sure, if you haven't already, to catch part 1, because I did do 2 roundups, and this is the second half of that. Also, of course, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and stick around afterwards, because there's plenty more videos for you to get into after this one. But let's get right into the albums. Alright, first up we've got UK technical death metal band Embodiment defying the odds in a packed month with their new album Palingenesis. And if I didn't know any better, I'd be certain that Reverence Through Disgust was kicking off a cattle decapitation album with its harsh, clanky bass tone further punctuating each note. But what transpires ends up being a much more progressive effort that integrates this aforementioned menacing aggression into compositions more akin to the likes of The Ritual Aura, Exocrine, and In Full Darkness. Violent waves of layered, brutal, blackened vocals and bludgeoning blast beats join with stunning guitar sweeps and sizzling melodic solos for an effort that is equal parts aborted and obscura. In fact, I'd argue that these elements are in more perfect harmony than most major label releases that set out with the same set of intentions. Just listen to Outbreak with its dismal Veil of Nath take on melodic death riffs suddenly erupt into a truly righteous crescendo of virtuosity, only to spiral back down once more into a mosh pit abyss. Or better yet, Tyrant and Eternal Torment get fiendish with both caveman deathcore groove and effortless sweeps. Or Masquerades the Delusion, leaving scorched earth only to plant new life with some seriously cathartic melodic portions. Ultimately, Palingenesis is an extraordinary showcase of both intensity and mastery from Embodiment that unfortunately runs the risk of being eclipsed by their better-known peers also releasing albums this month, so please don't let it go unnoticed when it's every bit as accomplished. Next up, we have the mind-melting mathcore dissonance of Baltimore band Under the Pier and their new album Puff Pieces via Dark Trail Records. I would recommend Under the Pier to fans of Psyopus, The Dillinger Escape Plan, and Ed Gain. Dark Trail continues to keep their finger on the pulse of all things mathcore. They closed out 2019 very strong with the likes of the Callous Dowboys and Fawn Limbs, and that trend continues into the new year with Under the Pier. This genre comes in all shapes and sizes, from the melodic and progressive to the utterly chaotic and dissonant. Puff Pieces, counter to its clearly tongue-in-cheek title, is most definitely the latter. These 9 tracks, almost all under 3 minutes in length, are some of the most dizzying and disorienting compositions I've heard in some time. It's rare that 10 seconds goes by without some kind of major left turn. Quite frankly, attempting to keep up for review purposes is exhausting. It's a fool's errand, really, and goddamn can I respect an album that evokes that level of fight-or-flight response. I'm sitting here in quarantine from potentially a life-threatening virus, but my anxiety is spiking 10 times worse from the complete anarchy of these riffs and time signatures. While still leaving some room for improvement in terms of album flow, Puff Pieces is a top-notch showcase of technical mastery and inharmonious mayhem that I already see the mathcore community drooling over. Don't take my word for it, give it a listen for yourself. Then we have technical melodic death metalers Symbolik delivering their debut album Emergence via the Artisan Era. I'd recommend Symbolik to fans of Inferi, Alter Beast, and again Exocrine. Emergence is another solid outing in the style we've come to know and love from the Artisan Era label. In particular, if you are a big fan of Inferi, there is little reason that you won't enjoy the sounds of Symbolik. They possess the same knack for impressive melodic displays of riffing combined with ripping, higher-pitched, harsh vocals. Where things start to diverge is where the more atmospheric implementation of synth backdrop comes into play. Between this and the vocal approach, Symbolik sports an icy aesthetic that often feels more aligned with symphonic black metal, were it not for the occasional deeper death growls and more technical orientation of the guitars. In Servitude of Silence even has a classy harpsichord intro that hints at the broader potential of the band's sound. Emergence is another really solid melodic and sometimes progressive technical death metal outing that provides a consistently enjoyable listening experience. Give Symbolic a listen for yourself and let us know what you think. Moving right along, we have French blackened sludge crew Fang showing no signs of resting with their industrialized new outing Pudeur via Throat Ruiner Records. I would recommend Fang for fans of The Lion's Daughter, Godflesh, and Lord Mantis. And I just need to start by saying, it's only been a year, guys. It's okay to at least take a little break, but I'm glad you didn't because Pudeur is easily my favorite album from Fang thus far. I've already been enjoying their filthy Lord Mantis-y take on noisy, spiraling hellscapes for a couple years now, but their increasing evolution towards a more industrial Godflesh vibe is a welcome one. With each record, these guys have just been getting better and better, and while I was already impressed with the strides forward on last year's Pier, I think they've really come into their own in 2020. From the gurgly intro of Soleil Vainquus, we are sent through an Event Horizon-esque portal to unspeakable sci-fi terrors. Pounding digitized drums and menacing blackened sludge riffs are perfectly complemented by demented howls from the beyond. And punishing myself again with these pronunciations, tracks like A Tombeau Overt and Du Gemessant, with their more overt focus on mechanical noise and atmosphere, seem like they would be right at home on the new Doom soundtrack. For 3 albums, Fang have been inching up in quality, but always just on the fringes of top-tier material. And finally, with Pudeur, they have finally earned that A that they so desperately deserve. If ever there was a time to jump on the bandwagon for Fang, it's now. And last but not least, we have the return of Vermont band Barishi with their new album Old Smoke via Season of Mist. Now, Old Smoke represents a very different band from the one I discovered back in 2015 with Endless Howl, or for that matter, their first Season of Mist outing, 2016's Blood from the Lion's Mouth. While those albums were so eclectic as to be difficult to pin down in terms of genre, incorporating elements of everything from post-black to sludge, this new material finds Barishi pretty firmly grounded in the world of extreme doom. Familiar mechanics remain, proggy mastodon riffs slinking and coiling in a serpent-like fashion alongside the Obsu-esque cavernous snarls of frontman Graham Brooks. It's just that the larger context and approach to songwriting have shifted in favor of 10-plus minute insidious groove machines that feel more rooted in the world of Indian and Inter Arma. True to the cover art, what results feels like a series of pagan rituals to the old gods and animist spirits, further elevated by the occasional inclusion of acoustic guitar, culminating in the very cult leader-ish post-metal journey of the closing title track. I must say it's a pretty entrancing bit of witchcraft for a couple of dudes from the New England states, but to be fair, I guess they are neighbors to the infamous Salem trials in Massachusetts. While I find myself yearning for a little more Barishi's previous bold take on genre mashups, I always respect a band unwilling to make the same album twice. Old Smoke is ultimately another unique chapter for a group who clearly wield a wide range of influences, and I continue to be interested to hear what comes out next. And that'll do it. 5 more bands that you should definitely check out this month. Again, this is part 2, so be sure to backtrack, check out part 1. I'll be sure to link it here. Also, check out all the other videos I put up this month. There's a full review on Ulcerate. I did a podcast with Roman Ring, another podcast with Wolfheart. I've got one just around the corner with Cabal. I did a ranking video on Lamb of God. I did a ranking discography video on Meshuggah. I did a review of the new The Black Dahlia Murder, including a contextual tier list of all of their albums too. I've been a busy boy, so definitely stick around. Again, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Hop down the description, you can find links to all of our social media where you can follow me, and also the email newsletter that I send out personally every Friday to keep you up to date with metaltrenches.com. And also you can find links to our Patreon and Subscribestar. Consider just donating $1 a month. It makes a huge difference in helping me cover overhead costs and justify all the time that I put into this. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.